And I'm
Yeah.
really glad that we're not Sid all the time. Really glad you're not a method actor because that might have been an uncomfortable set.
No, no, I'm not. I like to make it easy on other people, you know?
So, thanks so much for joining me today. I've got James Badgedale talking about Violent Ends, which comes to theaters on October 31st, 2025, just in time for Halloween. And what a treat this movie is. I love this film. It was one of my favorites of this year. It is a slow burn historical drama that has a fantastic cast, plenty of tension, and as the name implies, plenty of violence. And a lot of that is because of your character. So, I'm very excited to talk to you, and thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Of course. So, first question, how did you get involved in this film? How did, the script come across your desk?
John Michael Powell sent me the script, and it just kind of popped off the page for me. It's a credit to him and his writing and the world that he created. And then if you have a conversation with him, you realize like he's a very um, wise individual who's really in touch with a lot of different facets of humanity. You know what I mean? He's not an aggressive guy in that way. Sometimes you meet people who are trying to make these kind of films, and you're like, oh, you're working something out in your own head. I don't know, but John Michael's like he's a real artist, and he's a beautiful writer and a beautiful director, and he put together a great cast and crew. I'm really proud of this film.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome film. And speaking of like working out some dark things in your head, how did you get prepared to play Sid? I mean, what a sinister, like dark character. Did you have to go to some dark places or, bring up some old traumas? How did you get that character?
No, I mean it's when you play bad guys like this, it's a genre movie. I'm actually having a great time. If you see me on the screen, I'm having the time of my life. I'm laughing, and the moment that that camera cuts, we're all having a great time and joking around. I think the thing with Sid is that I mean, immediately I read this script and I was like, oh, I want to play this dude, because there was something in his physicality that I wanted to bring out. It was, if you ask me if I'm working stuff out, yeah, I'm working this. There was this other thing that I was kind of tweaking and playing with, and it's he's a bad guy with a capital B. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, no, definitely.
how do you do that with subtlety? How do you do that without signaling to everybody that I'm a bad guy? It's those are the challenges every day.
Yeah. And his presence, it's just like once he's on screen, you know that this guy is dangerous and you can't really tell why. It's like a snake, right? Like they just have that character about them.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
really glad that we're not Sid all the time. Really glad you're not a method actor because that might have been an uncomfortable set.
No, no, I'm not. I like to make it easy on other people.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard enough to work with me. You know what I mean? So
I imagine it's very
yeah.
easy. But you mentioned the cast and how good it was. I imagine this was just a really fun cast to work with. Was it almost like a family environment? Given that it's a family movie, did everyone kind of like come together as a family for this film?
Yeah, it's there's a little bit of an element of weaving storylines. You know what I mean? Like Billy and I don't really come face to face other than a few moments in the film in the at the funeral in the graveyard, and then at the end. Um, for us, the family really becomes that film crew because you're kind of dipping in and dipping out and seeing what other people are doing. But we went down to Arkansas to film this, and we used a local crew, and they were fantastic and they were wonderful, and they were really excited to work on the movie, and we're excited to bring the movie out to the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one thing I love about this movie, it is violent, it is dangerous, but stepping back in that time, I was like, well, no cell phones, no social media. Everyone was present, even though they were doing terrible things. They were all present. I bet gas was cheap. I bet houses were cheap. What was it like kind of going back and being in this world?
I mean, I'm a child of the '90s. I grew up in the '90s. I was a teenager. I was in high school in the '90s. I remember that's still the world that I kind of live in. I came up with, we had no cell phones, no internet. You would hear about things word of mouth, music, shows, all these, graffiti, skateboarding, hip hop, like all these things in the early 90s. You weren't getting this stuff off MTV either. You know what I mean? Yeah, there was Yo MTV Raps, but like the world of punk rock, that was all coming out of, yo man, I heard about this dude down here doing this thing. And so that's the world that we're playing in there, where you got to imagine there is this level of regional isolation. You know what I mean? So what's happening over here in this town is just over here in this town. And then this town over here is just over here in this town. And that's how these guys are able to operate. They're in their own ecosystem.
Yeah, definitely. I remember like growing up, you would hear about these secret things in video games or arcades, and you go and try it and it wouldn't work, and you're like, oh, maybe I did it wrong, and like you'd have all these rumors of things you could do. Yeah, it was a very different time, a
Yep.
nostalgic time, but different time.
Yeah. Like you hear about like, oh, it's up, left, A, B on the Nintendo. You know what I mean? And that's going to help you with Legend of Zelda. We live in a different world now. You just look that up.
You look it up. There's a video of someone doing it. There's like all sorts of strategies. Yeah, it's a very different time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I know we have limited time. I know you have a very busy day. So I'm going to switch to a lightning round. They're just lightweight questions about the film. I want to see how your personal experiences map to things in the movie. Feel free to skip any of them. I won't be offended, but I try to keep them very answerable.
Okay.
First question. This film is about the Frost family and their business.
Mm-hmm.
Does your family have any business that they're known for? Is there any family business in your background?
Yeah. I mean, my parents were actors. They were dancers. They were actors. They were theater people. They used to. I grew up in a family. We referred to ourselves as gypsies.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're just doing the family trade. Hopefully less violently, but still doing the family trade.
Less violent. Yeah.
This film is about an internal family conflict. Have you ever had, a conflict between, within your immediate family or between like sides of your family, some sort of like disowned past relatives?
That's a really good question. I think we all have a lot of we have families, and with families come secrets and resentments and stories and everyone. I think the interesting thing about families is when you hear that story from different members of the family, they're all right.
Yep.
They might have a different point of view, but they're all right. I'll leave it at that with my family.
Yeah. And it's tough to take sides, right? Like
Yeah.
You never know which side to take because again, everyone has their own perspective on it.
Yeah.
This film starts with hunting. Hunting seems to take a pivotal role here. Have you ever been hunting? Is that something you've done before?
I've been fishing a few times. Strangely, I did have to learn how to skin an animal for a film.
All right.
And so I'm familiar with skinning an animal. I'll say this: I do believe that if you're going to the grocery store and you're going to buy a package of meat from a grocery store, you should understand where that comes from.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, I try to think about that. If and when I decide to eat meat, that's you got to be ready to do that.
Yeah, and also that's a good skill to have in this world, which might, maybe we'll have some sort of apocalypse in the future, and be able to hunt and skin an animal. Very useful. So
my wife is so happy that I can skin an animal.
I'm glad that she's happy.
She's really stoked about that.
This movie is also about, a family member bailing them out from a very difficult situation. Have you ever had to bail one of your siblings or one of your family members out from some sort of, incident, situation, problem that they had?
Yeah, I have. Hey man, you find out who you are in the moment, whether you stick up for somebody or not. You know what I mean? You make that equation, and I always try to stick up for people. I've gotten myself into trouble sticking up for people. Because sometimes that focus will switch to you. You raise your hand, and I try to keep that in mind though. If I'm out on the street and I stick up for somebody,
Yeah,
that focus, you have to be prepared for that focus to come to you.
Yeah, and also very good perspective though. Like that's when you kind of your bonds are tested is in those moments, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know if I want to tell that story. I had a moment. I'm gonna tell. I'm gonna do a real quick aside here. I was 17 years old. A friend of mine's getting robbed. I put an arm around him. I was like, "Hey man, don't mess with him." The dude pulls a knife out, pulls me, chokes me out on the side. And as he's choking me, and he has the knife in my side, all these other dudes got in a fight, and I saw that dude who I had saved walk by,
Oh geez.
and he looked me right in the eyes, and I looked at him in the eyes, and he made that decision. He's not going to help me, and he walked off, and I understood it, and it was okay. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know what he was going to do in that circumstance, and I was lucky I got away. But um, that moment was really human, and it's okay.
Yeah. But that's
I'm,
challenging though, right? Like because you stuck your neck out and then he wouldn't do the same, but yeah.
oh man, I was like, man, come on, dude.
Exactly.
You know? But
Uh,
it was a lose-lose for him. It
yeah.
was absolutely like it was a lose-lose. I was
Yeah.
the collateral damage.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Well, I'm glad you made it out okay.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
me too.
and the
I'm
last
glad you
question,
made it out okay, you know?
yeah, everyone. It seems like the best way a terrible situation could have ended. Everyone made it out. Um,
So I think so. There was like 15 people involved in that.
oh God.
So
Oh
I don't
God.
know.
And the last question,
That was LA in the early 90s. You
yeah,
know what I mean? That's just the way that happened every weekend. You know? That was
yeah,
just a normal occurrence.
yeah. No, that makes sense.
No cell phones, nobody knew about it.
Didn't have to check it until the sun went down. And the last question, Lucas is describes himself as a rattlesnake in this movie. If you had to describe yourself as some sort of animal, what kind of animal would that be?
Oh man, I'm a badger. My name's Badge. My mom called me Badge since I was born, and when I was playing hockey, of course, it was the nickname, the first nickname that came out of the hockey coach's mouth was like, "You're a Badger," So, whatever. That was a tough little animal.
Yeah.
I was smaller than everybody. I was younger than everybody, and I had to fight for it. Yeah, they also used to call me Dizzy Devil.
All right. Cool. All good nicknames,
Yeah.
right? Like those are pretty badass nicknames. So
Yeah. What's up, Dizzy?
so the film is coming out October 31st, 2025. You're out going to getting the word out. But after people see Violent Ends, is there anything they can look forward to next from you? Do you have anything else on the horizon?
Yeah, actually, it's a pretty busy time. So, Violent Ends, really fun genre movie, revenge movie coming out on Halloween, and it's a lot of bloody fun. And then 2 weeks later, we have a movie called King Ivory coming out. It's a really badass movie about the drug trade in Oklahoma. By this director John Swab. We filmed 2 cameras handheld, and we were down and dirty, gritty. We brought a lot of guys in from the real world, from the prison system, from the SWAT teams, and the drug side on the streets, and they let us film it.
That's awesome. No, I love John Swap. I'm hoping to talk to him and you at that press day, but I'll keep my fingers crossed for that. But
Yeah, John's awesome. That's
yeah,
another one. It's like, I love doing these movies where it means something to the filmmaker. And John Michael Powell, he had everything riding on this movie. John Swab of King Ivory, that was like his baby. He had been working on that for 10 years. You know what I mean? So I love coming in to work on things that have that type of stake for the human being who's making it with us.
yeah, no, for sure. It definitely takes on a different tone when it is this person's like passion project when this is they're putting everything into it.
Hell yeah, man.
Awesome. So you can look forward to King Ivory in a couple weeks, but first, make sure to check out Violent Ends coming to theaters on October 31st, 2025. This is James Badgedale. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, David.
Awesome. Thanks so
See you
much.
next time.
Yep,
Bye.
sounds good.
Bye.
Take care.